So Moshe is teaching us a very important lesson, is how to give and receive tochecha. Tochecha, as we just said, is how to rebuke. And it's a mitzvah midoraita. It's a halacha. And the halacha is hocheach, tochiach et amitecha. You should rebuke your fellow Jew. If you look at it on the surface, it looks like Moshe Rabbeinu is giving us a short preview of, last week on, right? So basically almost like in case you missed something or you accidentally logged into Moav channel and you missed your favorite show. So it gives you, it's a Moshe Rabbeinu show. So it gives you an overview, basically, of what had happened. In a way, it's almost like an anthology, with very fine, it seems, at the beginning, very fine hints and gentle of what he wants from us. And we spoke last week, during the week, about the word Dizav and Korach and the Egel Azav, if you remember. It's a very vague, very gentile kind of tochechot, spiced up with a little bit of a personal perspective on his take on the mitzvot. And there really is, the question is it really so? Is it so? And this is where the big lesson begins. Moshe gives the tochecha to Am Yisrael before its death. And this is the lesson of how to give tochecha, how to be effective. It's almost the Dale Carnegie, how to gain friends and fans and lovers or whatever he has there. This is how to give tochecha. Lesson on how to give tochecha. So he gives us the tochecha. He rebukes Am Yisrael right before its death. Why? So they would not say that he has some kind of what we call tovat hana'ah, a personal benefit, that he's benefiting one way or another from telling them this rebuke. In other words, when you give tochecha to someone, make sure that you remove the person, the I, the you out of that. Second one is Moshe gives Am Yisrael tochecha after he was very kind and good to them. To say the least, he won the war against Og Melech HaBashan, against Sichon, against Aimori, and all these things. He brought them to the promised land. And this is why, so people, Am Yisrael, would not say that he's giving them a tochecha, a rebuke, because he was not able to put them to the land. He's very calculated. Moshe Rabbeinu knows exactly what he's doing. Moshe reminds the chataim, the sins of Am Yisrael, through a hint. He gives him a vague hint. And the Mefarshim says that, yes, this is how he's acting in the beginning. Wow, boy, later on he just opens a whole dam of criticism and he just gives it to them straight out. That's later on. So what does it mean? That until now it wasn't painful and now he has so-called the ability to hurt them, so he's hurting them? That's what Moshe Rabbeinu is doing. But one needs to understand there is a difference between the first tochecha, which we have it here in this parasha, and the other ones which comes out throughout Sefer Dvarim. And that will give us to the third rule on how to give tochecha. The first one was not to have a personal benefit, and the second one is not to speak from a point of lack of abilities. And this is the third one. So the beginning, if you give tochecha to a person, the beginning of this process, when you rebuke in a person, he is not willing to listen anything of what you have to tell them. Nothing. He just doesn't want to hear you. And if you will, He has a way to justify every single act that he has. He will give you a reason. He will justify it to you. He also always has the ability to see the defects and the wrongdoing of everybody else. But when it comes to himself, he's 100% because he just justified everything he did throughout his life, like we always do ourselves. So therefore, in this case, the only way to speak to a person like this is very gentle. Very gentle, with a hint, to try to hint it out to him. And please don't dare to think that because a person is not willing to listen and to accept what you're going to tell him in the beginning, you are exempt from this obligation of tochecha. Oh, contraire, absolutely not. You still are obligated. You just have to learn how to do so. We can do that without embarrassing the person or embarrassing his image. His image always refers to me as his own personal idol worshiping. We should say we shouldn't do any tzura. It's one of the 10 Commandments, that we have. The first 5, right, talks all about God and everything. So it's not to make shapes or forms and so on and so forth. And we spoke about it beforehand in Parashat Yitro. How is a person not supposed to make a mask on himself in which he would not be able to see God? Not only a mask in which they used to do idols, but a mask to himself which he would not be able to see God, and therefore he would worship his own image rather than to worship God. So you can do so without breaking his image. You can do it gently. And after we created this connection, and we already have ways of communication, the person might be able to understand the tochecha. He might understand what you want from him. And then you can tell him things the way they are. Because then he might be able to already start understanding what a fool he was and how great he was that he was even able to fool himself. He is so good at fooling everybody that he was even able to fool himself, or what he is, or what he wants, and so on and so forth. How he was able to basically redefine himself on this falseness that is called his image, and how untrue that is. Until that point, until you created this connection, you can't do it. It's not going to happen. I love those people who just feel that they have the ability and the koach to go into a guy and tell him the true strength to his face, and thanks to their great abilities and so on and so forth, everybody's going to say, all right, I accept God, and they'll get up of their spiritual wheelchair and they'll become believers. Those things don't happen. They so don't happen that Moshe Rabbeinu actually has to teach us this lesson. Nobody is able to do so. And why is this? Because when you gave him the remez, you gave him the hint of the tochecha, you created an opportunity, you created a certain vacancy inside the person which can actually hold the real tochecha. You create a certain opening there. You create the opportunity for this to happen. And that's why it says, by the way, hocheach, tochiach. You have to give him tochecha 2 ways, twice. Hocheach, tochiach, twice. One time, gentile, gentle. And after you gave to him gentle, and he got it, then you can hit the iron. If you want to create, if you ever worked with metal, and you want to forge a knife or metal, and you're actually working with a hammer, you can't do it until you put the metal into the furnace. And you can't put the metal into the furnace until the oven is hot. And only when the oven is hot enough, you put it in, you take it out, and then you're able to hammer, to work with it. You need to create the conditions which would allow you to make the tochacha beneficial. How do you do it? You're creating it by being gentle, being direct, but in a very gentle way. You're giving them hints. So it says that after this happened, right, and you give him the tochacha and he's willing to accept it, you should know that you should be able and willing to accept that that person, I have something in my ear, that person will do to you the same thing as you did to him. Because if he's close to you, amitecha is, amit is not a friend. In Hebrew there are different levels, as much as in Inuit there are different levels to describe white of the snow. Or in Agbara there are different types of white. There's white of Echal, white of snow, white of, and so on and so forth. There's also in Hebrew different levels to describe, or different words to describe levels of friendship. Amit is a higher level of friendship. So if you're so close to him, as much as you are able to give him, you should be able yourself to be willing to receive this yourself, this tochacha, because he's going to give it to you. Since now they say he saw the light. And just because he cares about you. And this is when we need to understand that many times the people who stand in front of us are there to operate as a mirror to reflect our own behavior so we could see what we need to change. There's no coincidence in life. And many times we meet these people because we needed to see what's wrong with their quality and to understand that basically we only see an image of ourselves. En adam posel ela bemumo. A person blemishes with what he himself is blemished by. So when you see something with your friend that is wrong, sometimes it's a mirror to you yourself. And we need to remember that. And that's why people can go from one extreme to another extreme. And in a way they stay the same person, just with a different outfit on them. They could become, left-wing, pot-smoking, hippies, peace-loving, whatever they are. All of a sudden they become ultra-Orthodox, peot, and throwing stones. They haven't changed. They're still the same radical person, just different clothing. But if you want a real change, and if you want to change your environment around you, you should be able to receive criticism yourself, and to be able to, first of all, change yourself. And that brings us to the actual shiur, the bulk part of this lesson that Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to teach us. So if a person comes to give you tochacha, so now we went from how to give tochacha to how to receive tochacha. So first of all, drink cold water. Relax. And now the same thing if you want to give him tochacha. This is very important. When you give somebody tochacha, relax. Take a glass of cold water, chill out, break your neck a little bit, Check exactly from which point are you coming to this tochacha, are you coming to this rebuke. In other words, where are you coming from when you're about to tell somebody something? And many times, a person is telling you something, and you know that this is not what he really wants to say. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's more that he wants to tell you, but he's not telling you. That's the same thing to you. You need to check yourself. Where are you coming to this tochacha? Are you coming from a good place? Are you coming from a place, or you've been motivated by, for example, an emotional storm with all these energies that come from, like the hurricane of emotional storm? Internally, you're in a turmoil. Or you're coming from a place of a cool mind and a warm heart. A cool mind and a warm heart. How are you coming to this? Because you take a tornado, you take a hurricane, it's destructive. And sometimes inside of us there is this tornado that spins and spins and spins and spins and spins, and then it unleashes, and then it is a catastrophe or a hurricane that picks up momentum and picks up moisture. Take all these catastrophic events and build it into an emotional and a spiritual process, and you'll see that this is exactly what happens. Sometimes we do have like those things shift, those internal spiritual tectonic plates shift in us, and we have a tsunami of emotions coming in and sweeping everything away. Everything that we work hard for. It happens to us. So when you come in and give in tochecha to something, that's why you need to relax and think, where are you coming to this? Before you saying something. And this is correlates to what we said earlier, of how you're supposed to come. We need to understand that the word tochecha comes from the Hebrew root of nochach. Liot nochach, nun, chav, chet. The word nochechut, presence, vetochecha, rebuke, has the same root. What does it teach me? Teach me that a person needs to be present on his place. You need to have an awareness. You need to pay attention to where you're standing, on your actions. You need to be aware of what is that you have done. As we said, the place, your emotions, your actions. If you are not aware and present on your own self, you are never going to be able to give tochecha, to rebuke anyone. Except without a doubt. Now here we're talking about giving. And sometimes you should know that the biggest tochecha you can give a person is just if you'll be nocheach, if you'll be present next to him. Just as the company. It reminds me of stories that I heard when I was a kid about those guys who used to smoke cigarettes on Shabbat. They didn't go to shul. And the rabbi used to pass by, and right away they used to put the cigarette down. Just his presence there caused them to do that. He didn't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything. Sometimes by you just being there will change the atmosphere. Will be enough to give tochecha. Whether it's foul language and so on and so forth. You're present, oh, you're a holy man. Oh, guys, we can't talk like this. Sometimes they'll try to drag you. Then you have to be more aggressive. Say, the guys, I don't want to hear it. But nevertheless, many times when you just being there, sometimes you just being there to give support to this person, that's also a tochecha, not to do what he's about to do, or to stop doing what he's doing. Now Moshe is taking care of public needs. Mit'asek betzorchei tzibur. He takes care of them. He's the loyal shepherd. They are about to enter the promised land. And even though that at that moment Moshe Rabbeinu is going through a tremendous tragedy, he's experiencing crisis. He's there, and he can't walk in. All his life, he lived for this moment in which he will be able to enter the promised land. He can see it. He can go down the mountain, cross the river, and he's there. And he's eating him up. You don't understand. To us, if we would have experienced such a tragedy on that level, that magnitude, we would not be able to function, nevertheless, to take care of anyone. The grief is tremendous to him. This is Moshe Rabbeinu, who felt it with every cell of his body. The need to go to the land. And he's obeying the word of God. He says, you're not going to get in? So he says, okay, I'm not going to get in, not going to get in. You don't find Moshe Rabbeinu arguing with God. Excuse me, God, how about Avraham Avinu, let's say? How about I make few steps in? How about I walk a mile in? How about I'll go in and come back? Accepts it. And he's in pain. He takes care of the people. Did you ever think about this? How unselfish this person is? He's so unselfish that compared to us, it's unhuman to be so unselfish. He's selfless. And to be selfless is a madrega, it's a level that we all need to have. We need to be selfless. If we're going to come to look further, a little bit further, in Sefer Dvarim, we will see that Sefer Dvarim is written in first body. Katuv belashon beguf rishon, like in present. Chazal said that Moshe Rabbeinu said those things mipi atzmo, from himself. Of course, the Mefarshim write that not mishum atzmo, he didn't make up those things, or from his own will, or that he changed anything from what it was said, but rather that in the first 4 books of the Chumash, Moshe Rabbeinu was an instrument. It was a hollow vessel. It was a hollow pipe where things came the way they are, word by word, as they are. Didn't change not the spirit of the words or the content of the world, and so on and so forth. He said without any change or without any personal perspective. The Gemara in Masechet Megillah talks about the story, and we said a few times, about the story of the prophecy. The people knew there's a prophecy needs to come, and they went to, there's a question whether they went to Yirmiyahu or they went to Huldah, and they say that they went to Huldah. Why? Because Huldah was a woman. The prophecy needed to come down, so they took a woman that will be more compassionate. The other Monday Amar says no, because Yirmiyahu went to collect the lost 10 tribes. But nevertheless, a Navi, a prophet, has the ability to interpret the Nevuah basically according to his personality. So Moshe Rabbeinu was not like this. Moshe Rabbeinu was a hollow pipe, straight. Come in, come out, the same thing. Here also, Moshe Rabbeinu is a vessel, is a tzinor, is a pipe. But here he gives it its unique perspective, its unique character to Sefer Dvarim. And the character is like this. And it's something that we need to learn upon ourselves. And the question is asked, if all humans, all men and women in that matter, but saying men in terms of that, are the same, and everybody has what we call nekuda atzmit, a self point. So therefore, what's the difference between me and the next guy next to me? We're all the same. So how do I come to my uniqueness? And maybe like this we can understand why Moshe Rabbeinu did what he did, or how was he allowed to do so. A person could ask, for example, what is my comparative advantage? What is my comparative advantage? So from these actions of Moshe Rabbeinu in this parasha, we can see that when a person acts or executes his actions without considering himself, and without considering himself too much or at all, without falling into the trap that kochi ve'otzem yedi, my might, my power, my talent, my effort, I did it. This is a big trap. Without doing so, that he knows and he is aware of this self-point inside of him that is special, and he's aware that that self-point inside of him gives him the power and the ability to do whatever he did. Almost like the same concept as Shabbat is the self-point of the week, that Shabbat gives the koach for the rest of the week, from whichever end you look at it. Shabbat is the middle of the week. The same concept. So therefore, he knows that the experience which he's experiencing right now is unique to him. It goes through him. Then he gets his uniqueness, what makes him special. And by doing so and understanding that and allowing this to happen, he understands that he operates and his koach comes pure and he's unique. Because if not, if you don't operate in such a way, therefore you're operating according to an image, illusions, and dreams of others. It's scary to think that your dreams are not your dreams. Your illusions are not your illusions. And your image is not your image. That's why you feel lost. That's why people feel lost. That's why people need to have this desire to do these bizarre things, of like this tattooing that they do. Ribono shel olam, it's crazy. Because they don't feel unique, because they don't operate from this truthful point inside of them, because it's not theirs anymore. They don't know how to self-experience and express whatever is going through them right now. That's why they're not unique. And since you're not unique, you lose your authenticity. You're not authentic anymore. And since you're not authentic, and you're not so-called, I hate to use the term, in touch with yourself, so-called, but you're not authentic, Mimele, in any case, you cannot influence others. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us. Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to us from his stomach, from the central point. He's telling us everything straightforward, gentle, and then straightforward, out of love. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He's gonna die. As a matter of fact, he's gonna finish talking, he's gonna go on the mountain, and he's gonna die. That's what it is. So when it's done in such a way, in such a selfless way, out of love, out of understanding, that Moshe understands that he is really a nothing and everything that he had was a gift from God. Only then his tochecha is being heard. This is why that 3,000 years and more ago, we still call him Moshe Rabbeinu, our teacher, our master. Because his words of tochecha, his rebuke keep ringing in our ears all the time. Why? Because it is done from selflessness and from love. This is very important to understand, that we say those things and we come right before, now it's Av, but we're coming right before Elul. Comes the time of Elul, this is the time that we should not only ask for forgiveness from others, we should also look internally into ourselves. In order to be able to come to Rosh Hashanah, tell me, Rabbi, you jumping the gun. I'm not jumping the gun. 7.5 weeks from now, 7 weeks from now is Rosh Hashanah. We don't have time. So we should hear this and we should act and give tochecha to each other. And you should know that the tochecha is a derivative of ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You should give tochecha to your rea because you love him, because you care. Only then your words will be heard. So Bezat Hashem will be able to do so, and we'll be able to stand in front of God now and in Rosh Hashanah. Amen. Amen.